Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Is everyone ready? Can we get this mic live here? Let's go ahead and get started. Neither one of these mics will work. Is it on? Okay, now it's on. Hello, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm Sheila Edwards-Lang, and I'm the Chancellor here at UW Tacoma. I want to welcome everyone both here in Phillips Hall and on the live stream with us today. As you all may recall from our last town hall, I've decided that one of the things that, rather than having these monthly meetings be a report out from the administration, that we'll do a report out every other month, but in the alternating months, we will have a substantive discussion, community discussion around an issue of interest to the community. And so we are so fortunate this month, that the ASUW students wanted to partner with us on the very first one of this new format. So before we get started, I'd like to invite Gabe Menthorn up to give us our tribal land acknowledgement.
Gabe Menthorn Teetsta, Yakima Chud. My name is Gabe Menthorn, and I'm Yakima. Shik Pak Shwe, Hawk Shlahale, good day. As Joe Il Chud, Eti Diasal Dibitseed. I'm joyful to see you. We recognize that all of us at UW Tacoma learn, live, and work on or near the ancestral homeland of the Coast Salish people. In particular, we are situated on the traditional territory of the Swatif Tub et Tis Bialish pubs, land of the Puyallup people. As people of this occupied territory, we have a responsibility to acknowledge the land, the ancestors who have cared for this land since time immemorial, and all our indigenous connections today. We also have the responsibility to acknowledge the history of dispositions and forced removal that have allowed for the growth and survival of this institution. In light of this history, let us take active efforts to partner with our indigenous community members and neighbors as we continue to work together as a community of learners, leaders, and educators. Katsiayao, Hautubs, Chulub, Atawishamash, Obichichad. Thank you, and I love you.
I want to emphasize something that Gabe said, and that is that we have a responsibility to actually act on the land acknowledgement, not just to say it at every meeting, but to make sure that we are making it real with our actions and our relationships and partnerships. And so that will be a large part of what Gabe and I will be working on this year here at UWT. So as I said, this is a new format for us. This is, we'll see, your new chancellor may fall on her face, and this may not be a good format, but I don't think so, because today we are in for a treat. And we are going to have a student panel that is going to be moderated by our ASUWT president. I'm going to introduce him, and then he will introduce his panelists. And then what we want to do is have a community conversation about what does this mean then for all of us from our respective positions, either as a student, as a faculty or a staff member at UWT, to act on what we hear from our student panelists today. So, for those of you who don't know our ASUWT president, Andre Jimenez, he's from Tacoma. He's attended Foss High School and is a graduate of Tacoma Community College. He's a senior studying law and policy, minoring in global engagement, and wants to pursue a law degree upon graduation. In addition to his work here on campus, he serves as the chair-elect of the City of Tacoma's Human Rights Commission, which studies, investigates, and mediates community issues that may result from discrimination. He has been named both a Dressel and a Truman Scholar, and for those of you who don't know, Truman Scholar is a highly prestigious national competitive scholarship. So to have our ASUW president be a Truman Scholar is really an honor for us. Prior to pursuing his undergraduate education, he worked in a nonprofit sector as a fundraiser and development associate. While there, he learned that the systems approach is actually needed to make change, and that we need to figure out how to be more disruptive in our systems to be more responsive to community needs. Andre has brought that same lens to his work here at UWT. In his convocation remarks about You Belong Here, everyone realized that this is the hallmark of something that we need to do here at UWT, and it has become the center of his leadership here. It has informed the why statement for ASUW this year and is the topic of our town hall today. Please join me in welcoming our ASUWT President, Andre Jimenez.
Thank you so much, Chancellor Lang, for those kind words. Hope to live up to half of them. But we're so thankful that all of you guys are here. As ASUWT, our bylaws require that we have a student town hall every quarter, and so we're looking through the schedule, trying to figure out when we can have one. Our schedules are all packed. You know, we have extracurricular things, we have class schedules, and so our Director of Outreach and I were sitting down and we identified the first week of November is the perfect time for a student town hall until we looked at our calendar and saw that that's when the Chancellor's town hall was. So as a pre-law student, I started building the case. I had my opening statement, my 3 reasons why she needed to let us take over the Chancellor's town hall. And I scheduled a meeting with her, and before I could even get out the sentence, she said, "I love the idea." And so I think it's really important when we're talking about centering student voices. It's one thing to say it, but I think it's far more powerful to make space for students. And so we're so grateful to Chancellor Lang for her leadership and the leadership culture that she's creating here on campus. I would love to bring up the panelists if they're ready. You guys can come up. So in choosing students, ASUWT didn't want to be the sole body bringing students, so we asked for individual offices on campus. We wanted to get campus buy-in. So first up, we have Michelle Burchett, and she was nominated by Chris Beasley, who runs the Post-Prison Pathways Program. We're so grateful to have Michelle here.
Thank you.
Next to her, we have Exida, who is a senior studying ethnic, gender, and labor studies. She was nominated by ASUWT. And fun fact, she is the only non-Seattle student to win the 2021 Homecoming Scholarship this year. So excited to recognize her, and she's a fellow Dressel Scholar with me. So next to her, we have Luke Byram, who's a junior studying law and policy with minors in global engagement and human rights, and he was nominated by the DRS office. And then lastly, we have Holly Wetzel, who's a junior studying psychology with a pre-med focus, who was nominated by the CSI team. And also a fun fact, she is the founder of the UWT Discord, and so we hope that she'll talk more about that here. So let's give our panelists a round of applause to begin with. So grateful to have them here, and really excited to hear about their experience here on this campus. So, as Chancellor Lang mentioned, ASUWT's mission statement, I just want to read it really quickly, is everything we do will create a meaningful, attainable, and welcoming experience for our students. In this time of intense transition, we will thoughtfully design a sense of safety and belonging on our campus. And in my convocation speech, as Chancellor Lang mentioned, I made a promise and a pledge to all students. Simple phrase, you belong here. And it's been inspiring to see the momentum build behind the simple yet powerful phrase. But we realize that that statement has 2 sides to it, right? That there are a group of students that feel like they belong here, that have found their community, but there's another group of students who are still struggling to find a sense of belonging, especially as we recover from the pandemic. So today we want to begin the work of making sure that we're creating a sense of belonging for all students. So this panel discussion is going to kind of range in 3 parts. So first we're going to talk about what contributes to a sense of belonging, so what they have found to be successful. Then we're going to talk about what hinders their sense of belonging, what's maybe not working on our campus. And then lastly, what they think are solutions to creating a sense of belonging for all students, and then we'll open it up to faculty and staff to work with us. So I posed the first question, and we're going to start on the end here with Holly. What contributes to your sense of belonging here at UWT?
So I'm kind of here, oh, well, that's loud. So I'm kind of here as a representative, Andre here, he mentioned that I am the creator of the UWT Discord. And if you're unfamiliar of what Discord is, it's a group chatting platform. And if you've used Slack in like a business setting, it's very similar to that. You have separate channels where you discuss different topics. And it makes it very easy to communicate with other students and faculty in a very digital world that we have now, especially post the COVID-19 pandemic. And I posed these questions that we talked about at this panel to a lot of those students, and I got some excellent feedback, and a lot of it that I relate to personally. So when discussing what contributes to a sense of belonging here, one student said something that I'm going to quote verbatim here, that faculty that kind of see the whole student for who they are, like personally, you know, in class and outside of class, that really contributes to their sense of belonging. And to quote them, it is from those moments of compassion where a faculty member interacts and encourages growth on an individual level.
Yeah, Michelle, what contributes to your sense of belonging?
Oh, wow. Well, so I think I would like to start with, I'm here also representing a group that we started last year, the Washington Student Council on Reentry. And like she was saying, bringing your whole self, that has been an ongoing journey for me. Being formerly incarcerated is a loaded label, I think. And so it's something I've not been forthcoming until last year. So it was COVID, and I was really feeling the need for some community, and I met Dr. Beasley, and I was so inspired by his courage and his story that I just started to get involved because, you know, the shame and the stigma that correlates with incarceration is very real, and it's something that takes time and work and effort to work through, and that's work that I've done. And so I've since met other formerly incarcerated students across Washington State, and we're doing some amazing work. But here, particularly at the university, I would like to see more spaces for formerly incarcerated students. I would like it to be more normalized versus essential or exceptional, if that makes sense. And so I'm here speaking for a lot of people that aren't able to be here.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Zita, what contributes to your sense of belonging?
Hello. Hi, guys. Okay. It's a little bit of tension over here, so I just wanted to see all you guys smile for a bit. So I'm here as a representative of basically everything on campus. I'm a PAC Advisor, so I cater to all my lovely students and peers. I'm also part of the co-founder of the Pacific Island Student Union, where I found my identity. And when Andre was asking what contributes to the betterment of this entire campus, two words I associate with UW-Tacoma: community and involved. That was the first thing that I was introduced to when I came to campus. I came from a high school where I struggled finding my identity. I didn't know who I was. I was basically lost. And UW-Tacoma and the advisors and the faculties over here, they legit were with me my entire time until my junior year to find who I was as an individual. And becoming a PAC advisor has really got me thinking of how there's so many students out there that their voices aren't heard. They're going through so much, and all they can do is just smile through that pain. And for me to be able to see that, to hear their opinion, me to hear and see that, just to see their voices heard is what I really want them to have. And being here, I wanted to emphasize more on diversity. And although, like, one of my favorite things about UW Tacoma is that I get to see people every single day, different people actually, and I get to hear their stories, their experiences, especially when they're incoming freshmen. And for me, like, my responsibility for them as a PAC advisor and as an officer on one of the clubs here on campus is to be able to make sure that they're comfortable, finding a sense of belonging, whether motivating them to different organizations, motivating them to join different clubs, just so that they can be able to find what I just found, which is an identity, which is a reputation on campus that can literally drive them when they graduate, and also just for them to feel comfortable enough to express themselves and voice their opinions like what I'm doing now. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. And then Luke, just a reminder to all the panelists, please pull in your mic so that everyone can hear you.
You know what, put me after Xena. I feel like what contributes to, what was the question?
What contributes to your sense of belonging here on campus?
The people, the vast majority of people are supportive, and that's what contributes to my sense of belonging.
And let me go back to Xita really quickly, especially as a PAC advisor. You know, you're an advocate and a voice for so many students. In this transition period, what have you seen that has contributed to the students that you've worked with and their sense of belonging?
Mostly like, I'll go first, faculties. There are some faculties that are very interested in students' transition to college. So they, one of the students actually came to me when I was working through my hours, and they were talking to me about how a certain faculty was motivating them to join a certain club, my club actually, which I was really happy for because she also went through the same stage as what I was. She was lost. She didn't really know where to go through because UW Tacoma is very diverse, as you all can see. And from that diversity, it's not easy to fit in because there's multiple groups that you can join. And there's groups that kind of fits who you are as an individual. There's groups that might not. So you have to be very careful with that. So I try to help her with that. With that sort of situation, and they were able to be comfortable with it. Another thing that can contribute to student success on campus is just the programs that are provided with them. We have so many opportunities. It's a small campus, but there's so many opportunities that we can offer students to drive them. But it's just up to the students' decision whether they want to continue with those opportunities that are offered. So I feel like it's not our time, but it's just us as a PAC advisor. It's just my job or my responsibility to just advise and suggest many opportunities more for them to be interested in. And from there, it's up to them to make sure it's the right thing for them. Just list out the pros and cons, and it's up to them to just go forward with it.
Awesome, awesome. So a lot of what it sounds like is just offering more programs, more solutions. So I go over to you, Holly. You know, you created UWT Discord. Why Discord? Why that platform as opposed to the other programming we have on campus?
What makes Discord especially beneficial for students is that, especially in this post-pandemic world where we had everything completely remote, it kind of interconnects our digital world with our, I don't want to say real world, but our in-person world. And we're getting to a point where that digital world and our in-person world is interconnecting, probably faster than a lot of us are prepared to realize. So having that, and the other thing is that we are ultimately a commuter campus. We're not like UW Seattle in the sense that everyone is here. A lot of us commute in. I drive in from Seattle each day, well, not Seattle, Olympia. Anyway, I'm coming in from Olympia each day. I work full-time, I can't fully engage with campus life as you would in a traditional university, and a lot of students are in that position. So having that kind of space where students can interact remotely in the comfort of their own home, more than just seeing a face on Zoom, that's special, and that you should be able to foster that environment, and a lot of students have found that to be beneficial. That's why we have over 300 members, and the UW Seattle Discord, they have over 6,000. Wow. So that's clearly reflected in their in their numbers as to how beneficial it is.
Awesome. And just as an aside, I know that you started it in the pandemic. Have you seen an increase or a decrease in engagement now that we're back here in person?
Definitely now that we're back here in person. I mean, the first day, Elizabeth Hansen, she was in the faculty Discord the first day, and she thought it was so funny that everyone was asking the same, basic questions of where things were. And a lot of us have been at the university for over a year, and we have no idea where things are. So we were all asking each other, oh, how do we get into this? Where's this? And, all of us were there ready to help each other. And, you wouldn't be able to have that, especially when you hadn't met anyone else from the university prior to this point. So having that network set up in order to connect with people that you wouldn't have met otherwise, it's incredibly beneficial.
Awesome. Well, I know many leaders, including Chancellor Lang, can relate to not knowing where things are on campus. So we're all in this together. But yeah, let's switch gears and talk about, what detracts, what hinders your sense of belonging. So we've talked about what contributes, and now we want to look at the other side of that coin. What makes you feel like you don't belong here? And so let's talk about that. Let's start with you, Michelle.
I guess I would say that, oh yeah, sorry. For me, I guess I would say that what has been the greatest hindrance, I don't know that it's so much the campus versus my own working through my own issues of healing that I've had to go through. I mean, I've had a wonderful experience here at the university. I've had wonderful Indigenous teachers. I'm an EGL major as well, alumni. And when I began school here at the university, two of the most profound professors that I had, Dr. Miller and Dr. Montgomery, that in itself, learning the truth of settler colonialism and then reconnecting with my own Hawaiian indigeneity was wonderful. But in terms of what detracts from my sense of belonging here at the school has really been my own working through my own issues of stigma and discrimination. Now, it doesn't mean to say that if I were to, mention, hey, I'm formerly incarcerated, and then notice the looks on some people's faces, and I understand that, I get that. I think what would be helpful is if somebody would say, yeah, that, I'm uncomfortable with that. Okay, great, let's have a conversation. Right? Let's have an open dialogue about that. Being formerly incarcerated doesn't make me scary. It just means I made some mistakes.
Awesome. What about you, Luke? What hinders your sense of belonging or detracts from it?
One word, inaccessibility.
You want to expound on that? What do you mean by
Inaccessibility in the classroom, primarily with lectures that can be inaccessible to myself. I've been in classrooms, not here, but elsewhere, that have been incredibly inaccessible, and those were not great learning environments for me, and so I had to advocate for myself to grin and bear it through the quarter. So hopefully that doesn't happen here, and I get the support of faculty and others to be successful.
Awesome. And what about you, Exita? What hinders your sense of belonging?
At the moment, nothing, but let me go back to my freshman year. Flashback, sorry. I previously said I had a, oh, can you guys hear me? I apologize. I'm usually so loud. It's like, oof. Okay. My freshman year was, out of 3 of my years here at Tacoma, my freshman year was probably my hardest. It was my first time in class. It was on campus, actually, thank God. And I had a faculty that I came to class, and it was all juniors and seniors in that certain class, and guess I kind of felt discriminated. I hardly told this story because it's one of my hardest stories, so I'm pretty sure some of you guys have been through this. One of the faculties told me that this class is basically a law class, and a lot of Pacific Islanders, like myself, have dropped out on the first day. So he said, as a suggestion, you should drop out of the class, just to let you know. Basically, it made me feel like I did not belong on the campus. It just like throughout that whole session in that lecture class, I felt like I didn't belong on UW Tacoma. I was asking, why am I not enough? Am I not smart enough? Where should I fit along over here? So it was more of like self-doubting myself in a very intellectual way, because I came here to UW Tacoma because I wanted not only to find my sense of community, but I wanted at least someone close by, because it is a small campus, to at least guide me through all the struggles that I've been through. And it's just basically for academics mostly, because UW Tacoma is not only a very involving and community-based, but it's also for academics, because it is a small campus. So that's mostly what they should be focused on. And yeah, I wanted to drop out of that class because of what the faculty said. And when I came home, and I was legit crying to my mom and my sister, and they didn't understand, because now they didn't have to go through it because they didn't go to college. So all my sister said was like, just go back and just forget about it. Just do what you need to do to get rid of that self-doubt, and just go to class. So I went to class the next day, and the faculty was shocked, of course. And I just wanted to prove something, that one word can literally have a self-doubt in a certain student. One phrase or one suggestion just like that can literally have a student figure out, just question their entire reason of coming to college, just question their entire reason of why they chose this college. So I wanted to have a conversation with that faculty, and I told them that I was hurt, and I'm not gonna drop the class, because I wanted to prove him wrong. So he or they didn't take it to an offense of what they said, because they wanted me, they wanted to protect, or some sort of mention that they don't want me to go through that pain of struggling in class. They didn't want me to drop it out. But I told them, I'm gonna prove you wrong. And I did. I got a highest score in that class. I felt very successful, and they apologized, which is all I wanted. And later on, in a couple of months, the same faculty, students, that you can do it. And I just feel like the whole thing that hindering students is just to be able to participate in school clubs because of those kind of situation, or those type of struggles. But any students who's going through this process, or even if you're struggling in a whole different situation, I'm going through it. I'm still going through it. I sometimes go back, whenever I'm stressed, I go back to it. I was like, am I even is college even something that I should be doing right now? Is it important? Yes, it's important. It's important to find yourself, especially in college, because that's what mostly people find their identity. And that's what I really advocate for, not only as a PAC advisor, but also as a student who also has their fears, and who's also trying to conquer those fears. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hello?
Hi, guys.
Hello?
I don't know.
Hello? That worked.
Hello?
Okay, we're working now, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to touch this to your chin and you're going to talk into it that way. Don't get it back here because no one can hear you. So keep it close to you, okay?
So many solutions already, so you want to see here on campus?
Does that work? Oh, awesome. I would like to see more inclusivity insofar as just spaces that are safe for students to talk about issues that are, difficult for students to talk about. Maybe create an atmosphere that's more welcoming, not so rigid. Sorry, I'm noticing that a lot. Yeah, so create more spaces for other issues that intersect with some of the bigger issues that we're seeing today: mental health, substance use. Just those issues, and that's something that I noticed here at the university as well, is that recovery is not something that's, like, there's nothing really offered here other than the counseling center. I think it would be great if there was a space for students who would like a support group or some kind of community and had some kind of shared sense of belonging when they're struggling with substance use. It's not uncommon. So thank you.
No, thank you. Exita, what solutions, what things do you want to see as a PAC advisor, as a student yourself, that would enhance the sense of belonging we're seeking?
I feel like it's the events themselves. My thing that was hindering mine was just self-doubt on someone, what they said. I feel like faculty included with students, we should, like you said, created a safe space. For an example, take the Center of Equity and Inclusion, for example. They set up, yesterday they had a Real Talk. It was an event called a Real Talk, and they posted some interesting topics needed to be discussed that most students on campus were going through. If we were to be able to have those type of events where students feel safe to come and they know they can trust those people, especially when there's lots of students that are speaking on those type of topics, they'll be able to express what they're really going through. I didn't have that my freshman year, so I basically had to go through it alone. And luckily I had a couple of advisors who has helped me on that journey. But or just find clubs, or as a PAC advisor, I help my students find the right clubs for them that they'll be able to feel comfortable in. So if there's I'm not asking for the school to enforce that type of thing. I'm just asking you to encourage our faculty and students to be able to participate and be inclusive on campus, because that is the only way that they can find connection. That's the only way they can network. I'm just gonna say the only thing close that students can be close to on campus is their faculties and advisors. And I feel like if the UW-Tacoma administration were to encourage our faculties to be able to set those and motivate our students to join different programs, offices, clubs, that would be much better. I mean, kindness is free, y'all. That's what I do every day, okay? I make sure, even outside, I don't even have to pay, to ask my boss to, pay me more, because as a PAC advisor, I'm doing all of this. I like to do it for free. I would want students to be able to come here and use the same words that I use when I enter UW-Tacoma, is I feel like I'm part of a community, and I feel like I'm always involved. Those are the two words that I want them to hear, that I want to hear them say, is that they feel a sense of belonging, and they feel like this is their safe home. This is their second home, their safe haven, just like that I'm feeling it right now. So not to enforce, but to encourage. Thank you.
One thing that I would like to say is that post-pandemic, when I'm walking the halls of the buildings, they seem still to be super quiet, and not very many faculty are in their offices. So how do we reach them? By email, but we've been doing that for the past 18 months. I think we're kind of sick of that. So I'm not sure if there's still fears of COVID still, but how the heck do we reach our faculty? And I started here in fall 2020 in the middle of a pandemic, so I don't know very many faculty. So how can I reach out to faculty for whom I don't have a relationship with? I might only know 1 or 2 faculty here on campus that I could reach out to. So, encouraging more faculty engagement, it still seems really quiet. It feels like all of us students are here taking classes. Some faculty are, of course, doing in-person classes. Others not so for various reasons. And it seems like we're all alone here on campus, even though I know that's not the case.
I guess we're passing the mic. So I have 2 points that I would like to touch on here. So first point is I would like to see UW Tacoma to be much more friendly towards non-traditional students, because, I mean, we are under the University of Washington name, but at the end of the day, we are not UW Seattle at all. We have a lot more non-traditional students here, a lot more people working full-time jobs, our parents, you know, they aren't graduating straight from high school and going into university. We have a lot of our own lives, and I would like to see faculty address that. In the Discord, I had someone mention that that their professor in in-person classes, they're no longer recording like lectures, which that was the norm pre-pandemic, but now in a world where we're post-pandemic, where before we had Zoom lectures recorded to view on our own time, we've all become accustomed to having, you know, those lectures available to us whenever we need to. And some of them, like some of my professors, they have those recorded despite being in person, but a lot of them haven't. So I'd like to see mass adoption of that, because again, a lot of us are non-traditional students. So we also learn in non-traditional ways. So on that point also, more hybrid classes, maybe more night classes, online classes as well. I mean, before I even enrolled at UW Tacoma, this is before the COVID pandemic, it seemed like our online class selection or hybrid or nights, non-existent. We didn't really implement that infrastructure until we had to with COVID-19. So now that we have that infrastructure, I think a lot of students, especially non-traditional students, would benefit from having those options available. The second point I would like to address is having student resources, you know, like the counseling center, having those better advertised to students. There were a lot of students in the Discord that mentioned, oh, I wish this resource exists. Oh, I wish that resource exists. But they do. And a lot of students don't realize that those exist. And yeah, they get sent out in emails, advertised that way. But I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't read half the emails you guys send me. And I bet a lot of people on this panel don't read every single email that the university sends you. My only advice is go where the students are. Go on social media. And if you are already putting it on social media, do it again. Shove it in students' faces. Make it so that, oh, I'm having this issue, there's something to address. There's an opportunity for me to get that fixed.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much to all of our panelists. We've got a few minutes, so I want to open it up to anybody in the room. So you've heard a lot of ideas. You've heard a lot of really, really great comments, really great experiences. So what are you guys thinking? Faculty, staff, anybody? Looks like, Roseanne, you had your hand up.
Discord, DIS I mean, I've thought about this question quite in depth, actually. I believe, and I think a lot of students have this opinion, there can be a healthy medium between having a student-led place and a place where faculty can be involved. Currently, we have 2 faculty members, both from the Center for Student Involvement, and they've been great. They've been working overtime answering students' questions as they come up. However, I know all faculty don't have that opportunity or the time to answer student questions as they come up. But I believe that there is a happy medium between having faculty and students in that kind of environment.
Staff interchangeably?
Yeah.
I don't think they're faculty at the Center for Student Involvement.
I mean, any university staff, I don't see, if they have some benefit that they can bring to students, be it personal or academic, I don't see why they can't get involved with students on the platform.
So I need somebody to shove Discord into my face.
You
Because I
can
have no idea like where I find it or how I
meet me
use
after
it.
the panel and I can tell you everything you need to know.
Okay. And then I was wondering, Holly, if you could expand on how to be more friendly. I'm kind of mean, but I could use some
Can you
lessons.
say it one more time? I was kind of, say what you
I
said.
run the
just one-
Office of Student Advocacy and Support, so I think Discord might be a good place for me to, if there's a corner for me in Discord.
Oh, absolutely.
'cause, like, I don't want to, like.
So
interrupt
it's
the class.
ultimately a student-led thing, right? So it's a student place, but it's also a place for academic success, right? So having student involvement, advocacy, there's absolutely a place for you with that, and we can make there's like little channels that you can make that.
Have my own channel.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah, people could talk about that and anything else, and I extend that to all of you. If you feel like there's a topic that would be great for students to know about, or you have like a message or an announcement that you want to get sent out to nearly 300 students on this platform, absolutely come to me and I'll talk to you more about this after the panel.
I sense a Discord workshop in the future. Awesome. We have a few more minutes. Does anyone else have a question? Any faculty members? I'm totally comfortable with the Socratic method, so I can start calling on people if there's not any volunteers. Any of our vice chancellors? Yeah, of course.
Holly, I think I'm coming back to you, but you mentioned, get in our face, find us on social media. Where do we find students on social media? Help us better understand that.
I'm not used to being this popular. Okay. I mean, I personally use Instagram. I know TikTok is big, but I don't use TikTok, and I'm not sure how. I mean, new social media platforms pop up all the time. So ultimately, you're going to be on the ones that students most used. Instagram, I don't know about Facebook. You also got to think about the newer generations that are coming in. So I think a lot of us here are Gen Z. So I think we're older Gen Z. So we grew up on Instagram, I think a little bit of Facebook, but the younger Gen Z who are going to be coming in the next 5-6 years, maybe even sooner. I don't want to age myself yet. I'm only 20. But, you kind of want to get on their platforms too. So Instagram is good. I'm not familiar with TikTok, so I don't want to vouch on that, but that's something. I mean, Facebook's good too for the older students that are here. And again, we are a non-traditional, student base, I would say. So you also kind of want to go on those older ones as well. And I extend that to you guys as well. What social medias do you guys use? Because I work full time. I don't have time for social media. I just know that again, I'm representing a lot of students here. So when I say get in our face with social media, I mean a lot of people that aren't me. So if you guys can extend on that.
Thank you. I think Instagram is one of the best way to reach out to students. I see some of my bosses from the CSI, hey. And usually I'm on the social media team for one of the project teams that I'm working towards. And I'm always answering questions on the CSI, like questions when students are asking. But usually what I always like advise on them is check out for the programs and the offices that they're like participated in. Always ask for their social media, not just the UW email, because they're probably going to forget, but you can just follow them on social media. And if you ever have questions, you see their stories. Offices and programs, including RSOs on campus, they're always posting every day. They're active every day. They're asking, like, they're always answering questions. And if you guys have more questions, this goes for faculties too. PAC Advisors, our jobs is to like connect you to any resources on campus. So that is like mainly what our responsibility is for you guys. And whenever we like present a program or an office to students or faculties on campus, we always include their social media just in case they ever need help just that quick and they need to ask a question ASAP. So hit me up if you guys are available on the CSI. I got y'all. I'm always, even off work, I'm like answering questions at 2 a.m. in the morning. I got you guys, okay? Like, not recommended at all, but if you need it, I got you, okay? So definitely check what's Instagram. That is like one of the most popular right now at UW Tacoma, but I don't know if there's any other. Snapchat, I don't really know, but if you kind of like want to do filters on whatever thing you see on campus, go ahead. I recommend anything to get our word out there, you know? Oh, okay.
So I have a question. Can you? Oh, go ahead, Luke.
I feel really old. I would say Facebook and Twitter, and I'm only 5 years older than Holly. So, so Mentha, what's your question?
So I do want to thank you all for coming today and sharing this information with all of us. I know it took a lot of courage to be able to share your story and also some of those uncomfortable moments. And I want you to know that as the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, one who sends you all those email messages that you're not reading, that we really are taking this information very seriously. And so it has always been a goal within our division, and I think collectively for us to think about what does community look like, how do we practice community, and how can an individual have their strong sense of belonging. The question that I have relates to sticking around. So one of the lofty goals that we have within the division had been this concept of what might we do to create those environments and those conditions so that students would want to stick around in between class time. So can you talk to me a little bit about what that might look like for you and what is attractive in being on the campus? And so I heard evening hours, making more available opportunities and resources. But are there other elements, other conditions that would be beneficial or worthwhile for you and your community of friends and scholars? Big question, did you get it?
So you kind of ask a big question here, and I feel like a lot of it is out of your control because ultimately, like, I come on campus for class and then I leave, right? Because I need to go to work. But talking about the large majority of students here, I feel like a lot of what keeps students on campus is involvement with friends, right? Friends, clubs, all that. I mean, you got the dog den with like the pool tables, all those like game consoles, all that fun stuff. But again, I feel like part of it is a little bit out of your control because, if you don't have friends on campus, you're going to go with your friends off campus, right? So in that case, I would suggest maybe creating environments or having events that would encourage people to make friends. But then again, that kind of goes back to, okay, well, how do you advertise it? How do you make sure the people who are going, or how do you make sure people know about it, right? Because I don't know about a lot of events that are going on because they aren't advertised a lot, except for when Elizabeth posts about it in the Discord, then that's when a ton of people know about it. And that's honestly what's extremely beneficial about having a platform that reaches so many students all at one time, such as Discord or Instagram and those platforms, is you reach a lot of students and you get eyes on whatever you're advertising. And then that hopefully translates into people going to the event, making connections, and then ultimately staying on campus.
And I think what I'm hearing too is community looks different, right? So pre-pandemic, we were focused on in person, in person, in person. But for the last year and a half, we all have had to learn how to adapt to a virtual environment. And so to look about the ways in which we are cultivating and bolstering community online, but also allowing for those spaces for that in-person activity too. And you hit the nail on the head, friends. So my question, my one ask, is that each one teach one. So as you become familiar with resources, and I know Liz had told us about Discord, then you can help others know about resources that are available. And likewise, what you shared with us, we make a commitment that we will go back and talk with others as well. So thank you.
Awesome. And I just want to add, there's nothing that's out of Mentha's control. So she's one of the greatest allies as we really do seek to create that sense of belonging here on campus. And so I know we're a few minutes over. I just have one PSA. If you're struggling with finding a sense of belonging, today is Election Day. This is the best way to create a community where you belong in, because we vote in our leaders, and we need to make sure that our leaders are responsive to us. So thank you again to all of the panelists, to Michelle, Exita, Luke, and Holly. You guys did an amazing job. Thank you to you guys for coming and listening for an hour. To students, it's a really, really powerful message that we're sending to our campus, that you belong here, and we're going to do the work to make sure everyone feels that way. So thank you so much.